Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video we're going to be talking about a topic that I have been wanting to talk about for a very long time. I just never had my details in place, I guess. So we're gonna do it now. So we're gonna be talking about being transgender in a super religious state. For those who follow me out of the state of Utah and are subscribed from different states, I live in I live in Utah, Salt Lake City to be specific. So let's get right into this video. Guys, welcome back. So today I do want to talk about being transgender in a super religious state. I'm not in any way am I bashing the Mormon community or anyone who is religious in that fact. I just wanted to put my opinion and my thoughts about how, it is to be transgender and being a super religious state. Now, the way that I have gone through things and experienced things does not mean that every transgender person has experienced them too. This is just from my own personal background. I don't know anything about anyone else. So I have been living in Utah for 12 years now. So Utah has been home for 12 years. Maybe even 13. I'm not sure. I don't remember the age that I was brought here. I'm originally born from Mexico, Guanajuato. So my parents brought me here when I was 3. Not Utah specifically. We moved around the states, but Utah has been home for 12 years. So I have lived here for 12 years. Most of my growth and all that bullshit just happened here. I was basically raised in the U.S., born in Mexico. Yeah. So, for one, I don't think bad of like the Mormon, culture or religion or whatever. I have a lot of friends who are Mormon. But the thing is that not all Mormon people are like super open-minded. And sometimes they're not even open-minded at all. Like, you're really close to them, but they're like secretly like talking behind your back. So I am going to be talking about a story that happened to me, I think almost in a year of in the beginning of my transition. I had a very close friend who was my friends from like elementary to middle school for like until 7th grade. And she just happens to be Mormon, and her family obviously. But they knew me before I even transitioned, so they knew me as who I was in the past. So when I had came out as trans, I did come out publicly, but I also like came out like to some of my friends who were close to me. I didn't come out to like everyone, my family. I didn't start telling them like after maybe like 5 months of my transition. It really just depended. But with my friend, this specific person, she had asked me how I was doing and like how things were, and how like life was going on. And then I told her it was going good. During this time I was actually 3 months in my transition, so I wasn't that far. And she had invited me over. She came to pick me up. We went to her house. We were eating. And for a second, her parents didn't recognize me, which I honestly, thinking about it now, I don't know how it could have happened. Because like back then, I wasn't as passable as I am today, I guess, as passable. But yeah, so they like literally like misgendered me and like mispronounced my name the whole entire time. Like oh my god, like blah blah blah, and I was just like, I was like irritated, but like I didn't want to say anything, and I just like kept looking at my friend like, bitch, like you have to tell him something because I will say something. Anyways, I ended up going into the room and we were watching a TV show, and then her dad calls her out, and I overhear him saying something about how he was saying that like what was going on, that I looked different, that my hair was growing and stuff like that. And then she obviously ended up telling him, and she was like, well, her name now is Ruby, that's the way that she wants to go by. And her family was like super religious, like super, super, super religious. So, um, well, he like ended up getting like really mad, and like she told her to take me home, that I shouldn't have like I shouldn't come over anymore, and like it was like really like frustrating and sad at the same time because like I've known that family for such a long time, and I never even told my mom this story because like if I told her, like she would have gone to that house and like, you know, flipped out on her, like on her dad. But you know, she still messages me sometimes, and sometimes I don't hang out with her anymore just because like I know it's not her fault. But the thing is that I understand why the Mormon culture has like this big like something against towards the LGBT community. To be honest with you, I honestly don't see the point of, you know, being against something that people are just trying to live their authentic lives. Like they're trying to live a unique lifestyle. And people literally just come and like just make up all these stories about the trans community, the gay community, the lesbian community, like every single community, like people make up shit about. Like if you're not in our shoes, if you're not going through what we're going through, you have no right to make up shit about us and no right to tell us who we can and can't be. You know, like time had passed by, and she actually just messaged me like a couple months ago, and she asked me how I was doing, that, you know, I was like so pretty, blah blah, and like she asked me to go over. And by now, like I actually like grew up to like have like some power over like what people would say about me. And you know, I told her like, I honestly don't feel comfortable going to your house anymore. Your dad literally made me feel so uncomfortable, and like I overheard him what he told you that day. Because she came to the room, and like she didn't tell me that she was taking me home because like, well, she's like, oh, I have to take you home because I have like rehearsals or something like that for like the church. But she had lied because her dad actually told her not, you know, like to take me home, that he didn't want me there. And I told her that I overheard, and I just never said anything because like I didn't want to like fight with her and stuff. And then, you know, she apologized for it, and I'm like, it's not your job to apologize. Honestly, like that was your dad. Like he was the one who was supposed to apologize to me. And yeah, so I just felt like I'm not comfortable like going over to your house anymore. Like if anything, like we can hang out or anything like that, but we just not at your house. And finally, like we hung out and we talked about the whole situation, and I tried to make her understand, and like, you know, things like that. But it was really difficult because I mean, when you're growing up, like so many things are put in your head. Like literally, like when I was growing up, my parents were really religious. My dad specifically, his family grew up from where they were really close minded. So my dad's side of the family, well, some family members still have a very hard time to grasp the thought of that I've changed, that I'm Ruby now, that there's no more who I was before. And so I understand the feeling of, you know, people like your parents pressuring you to believe something that you know it's not true. You know, I even sometimes tell myself like someone who was probably fucking gay wrote what they wrote in that fucking book, saying that the, you know, man cannot love another man because it's an abomination, or, you know, woman cannot lay with another woman. Like it literally had to be someone who was fucking gay. Like they probably wrote that shit. But you know, that's the thing, is just over the past years, like, you know, we've grown to these new eras and stuff like that. People just constantly like bash the LGBT community. Like, in my opinion, I have never received like the amount of like disrespect as any other trans woman or anyone that I know around here in Utah. Honestly, like I have a lot of like guy friends, and I have a lot of friends who are religious and stuff like that, and they've never said anything to me. I don't know if they've ever said anything before, but the thing is that when you're living in a very religious state, it's very difficult for people to understand. Sometimes it's not easy to just teach someone, to make them understand like this. Like sometimes it takes time. There's actually this story here, and there's this girl who is trans who lives in Orem actually, and her story was honestly so beautiful. It was actually on TSL or something like that. And Yeah, so she started transitioning at like around 18 or something, around the same age that I was, and her dad was, well, the whole family was like super Mormon. And you know, her dad was the one who took like a very long time to like accept her as who she was as a woman. So, you know, finally, like the Mormon church like banned her and her family from going to the church. Like, I honestly didn't even know like, you know, the Mormon culture had that much power to ban someone. Like, that's literally so fucked up. Like, I honestly didn't know God like gave you the power to like ban people, you know, from like having a child who is transgender or shit. Like, and you know, like he now, like he is so much more understanding. Like people do, like people can change, but it takes time. And you know, he basically had said in this interview, like if, you know, if they were to be resurrected and hers and his son came back as his son and not as his daughter, that he wouldn't recognize him because he has a daughter, not a son. So it was like really sweet hearing that. It made me cry actually because, you know, I have a fucking dick of a father and I wish my fucking dad said that about me. But he's a fucking dick. Anyways, when people bring religion into the whole like issue of, you know, being gay or lesbian or anything like that, I think it's so ridiculous. Like I think it's so pathetic that you are willing to go as low as to bring God into your fucking personal problems. You know, like they bring up like things that have no like relevant, like 100% of a fact to be true. Like people are born the way they are born. You know, that you can't change someone who was born that way. You know, like my whole entire life, like I tried to, and I put this on everything, like I tried my hardest to tell myself that this was not me. And, you know, it didn't work out. Um, Around middle school, actually, not middle school, elementary, my mom switched me schools a lot. Like, I switched schools every single year. And the reason was because I got picked on every single day at school, like nonstop. There was not one day that I was not picked. It was either my first day of school, it was either the middle day of school. It was always, 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 I always got picked. Well, anyways, when I transitioned, I was scared because I didn't know what the world would think of me. I didn't care, but at the same time, I did. And, you know, I've never been disrespected by anyone. Um, I've always had good respect. And I've had people, you know, tell me that they look up on me. But I've heard a couple of stories where a couple of trans people have suffered from, you know, transitioning in such like a religious state. I've never had an issue with anyone. I hope that I never do. Um, we we want to be happy. We want to live our lives. We want to thrive. And you know, people think that we're trying to take over or something. Like we're not. Like there's so many people who hide who they are because they're afraid of coming out. And it's shitty because sometimes it leads to suicide. And parents just need to learn how to love their children. That's what you need to do, is learn to love your kids because they're your children. You gave birth to your children. Learn to love them. Really ask yourself, would God tell you not to love your kid if he was gay, if she was lesbian, if, you know, she or he was trans? Like would God literally come to you and give you that sign and tell you don't love your kid because she is part of the LGBT? Ask yourself that. Um, I honestly don't like getting into the whole religion thing because I'm not religious. Like I said, I don't know my whole, you know, I'm not educated about that. Like I know some, I know some, but not a lot. Um, but yeah, if anyone is out there and you struggle with coming out, if you're still like trying to tell your parents that you're gay or lesbian or trans, honestly, message me and I'll try to be there as much as you can, because as much as I can, because I've been through it. I've been through it all. And I don't think it's fair that people have to hide who they are, who they were meant to be. You deserve as much as the happiness as any other person does. So I'm here. You have my support and I believe in you. But yeah, so this is my video of me talking about how I feel about the whole, well, I guess like the things that I've gone through in a super religious state. I hope someone learned something. I hope I hit a spot that just like pushes you to be an ally towards the LGBT community or something. But yeah, like I said, if anyone needs help talking or expressing how they feel, shoot me a message and I'll be here to answer it. Anyways, I'm about to end this video because I do have somewhere to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys continue watching me. Stay tuned for more of my videos because I have a lot of things planned, but I just have to get there. So subscribe to my channel. Definitely gonna do that when you start watching this, and follow me on all my social media. It'll be in the description box. And thank you for watching. Ciao.